like animal farm. Justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence. Islamic leaders silence. Kings and queens silence. Traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of the call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of the call. One guy's area, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, you need it now, see what's I see so. Now your friend on an iron come at them. Only papi obeka na sembia. So I want obet you too. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my cottage again, once my boy dumping one another. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akukudro for nyina dalima. Who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow Germansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Anya safwe mo ayini. Akukutro for nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi sa udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless, no they mean senseless. Poverty, no they mean useless. One day, then go resist.
A very good evening to you and welcome to the Economy Watch on MyView show on your trusted channel, Today's Ghana News TV. We are live on your screens on Switch by satellite and on all our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and as podcast on Anchor FM. Also, we are live on King's Radio. King's Radio can be found or tuned in on TuneIn online. And in the Eastern region, we are live on Hine FM, the bright light of Eastie. Sakina Information Center in Tatale in the Northern region, Jaframa TV in the Oti region, and many others. As you join me tonight, we unpack a vision. Ghana has made a bold move in repealing key taxes. What does this mean for the citizen? What does it mean for businesses and the broader economy? This evening, we have a very talented guest who will help us to break it down for our understanding, how it benefits our pockets and the economy of Ghana as a whole. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this program. Stay tuned, and when I come back, I will introduce to you the guest for this evening's show. Once again, you are welcome.
Yo abusuafo ɛyɛ mo somfo na efi akobi sɛ wan pɛmɛ na meka sei mesi mo nyimo sum na mo ntam aso na mo ntie makopi ɛyɛ Inner Word of God Building Construction Company so anio Inner Word of God Building Construction Company so hyɛ yɛsi nyame adwuma na hyɛ na wo de akoso minua ɛbadan sie mu dia sumuda ne yaba ma ɛdeɛ na wo pɛsɛ yɛ nyɛma building works Uprobi obeye carpentry amount, POP, metal works, tiling, electricals, aluminium, fabrication, anal plumbing, bra, ni abesum we said you wisi penwo, said you wisi penny bia, ya beyamount, ya titi yanko for ni when ya misrum, or munchi windio, no munya basabasanso. And now open yama ube to me dear siwudine, to set building blocks, stones, sand, quarry dust, pavement blocks, anase wood branian somo ewo nyamesuro eni nyamesumu she enkoma menuanu mu amwa amanone se obetna wo maye adwuma na odiskabe mane abusuafo si enye japade ma na obeba na wanya ne se de wosipe no aya na eya bebre etina me se fa ho bebo eye Inner Word of God Building Construction Company so ayeti free Inner Word of God Ministry International asori a abaye mre me beboa ye ne yabotne ne brem minua ne kire se enye na da bi ne yedinam eyi nyamisurom ene nyamisuro kwanso ene yede ba abesomwo obetume hu ye wa akra anase ashalibotwe anase frɛ number we 0242 515735 0242 515735 anase 0203 755 066 0203 755 066 Freye niyamesomo ewo no kware mu medawase.
So, once again, you are welcome to Economy Watch on MyView show on today's Ghana News TV. This is a show that will be coming off every first week of the month, where we take a closer look at the economy of the country or the economy of Ghana. But today, for instance, we want to delve into Ghana's bold move to repeal key taxes and what this means for the citizens, for businesses, and the broader economy. And joining us this evening is no other person but Mr. Bernard Odro Techi, aka BOT. He is a chartered economist, and he's here to break down the implications and the outlook for Ghana's economic growth in 2025. I prefer to go with Mr. BOT. Mr. BOT, you're most welcome to the show once again.
Jeremiah, when you put out a nickname, you don't add Mr. So simply put BOT.
BOT, okay. All right. So you're most welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jerome, for the opportunity granted me. Let me say, first of all, I'm grateful for the big platform, and I do not trivialize your platform at all. Your platform is one of the very platform that once I'm hooking onto it, I want to make sure that I get my facts right, because the whole world is watching us. And I want to also assure you, whilst we will do a bit of politics, we will not throw professionalism to the dustbin. So the discussion will be fact-based, very professional, devoid of emotions and sentiments. We want to make sure that we deliver the best for your audience and your viewers, and also to make sure that our discussion will near to the growth and development of our motherland called Ghana. Ghana is all that we have. And I keep telling people that anything you value, you don't destroy it. Sure. So once we value the country called Ghana, we will not in any way through either our actions, inactions, omissions or commissions lead to the reputational damage of the country. at any very material moment Ghana first.
Definitely, definitely. And this is a very patriotic conversation. And probably let's just start with trying to get a good understanding of the repeal taxes. Starting from the top, Ghana recently scrapped several taxes, including the e-levy, the betting tax, and the emissions tax. Can you briefly walk us through these repeal taxes and why they were removed at this particular time?
Jerome, thank you very much for the opportunity granted me. But before I move on to the dynamics of our local tax regime, most importantly, with focus on the repeal, let me first of all say very good evening to the president of the country and his vice, to the cabinet and everybody watching us, and most importantly, to the NDC fraternity. We're working to ensure that the social contract we signed with Ghanaians on 7 December 2024, we keep to our word. Because I keep telling people that if we take politics the way we take religion, this country will develop. If we take politics, and in this case, I'm speaking to political governance. If we take political governance, the level of seriousness, the level of commitment, the level of fear we have for religious doctrines, if we're able to transition the same fear, respect, reverence, and commitment to political governance, Ghana, and for that matter, Africa, will not be on the begging table. So we hope and pray that the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will have a positive cascading effect. I keep telling people that he came under image redemption therapy. I call his comeback in 2024 as an image redemption therapy. It is an opportunity for him to leave a lasting legacy, 1 for himself, 2 for his family, 3 for his region, 4 for his country called Ghana, and most importantly, his political party called the National Democratic Congress. Because we've never seen in the political trajectory of the country whereby a president, somebody emerged from being a vice president, transitioned to president, lost an election, waited for 8 years in opposition, came back to win the most gargantuan victory ever, both presidential and parliamentary. Under a Fourth Republic, we've never come across such a historic moment before. So his comeback, in my candid view, is an image redemption therapy for him. It's an opportunity for him to leave a legacy. It's an opportunity for him, for somebody to say that, look, hitherto I didn't like the NDC, but the performance of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama on his second coming has endeared me to love the NDC. So you see, many people are on the fence. Many floating voters, the academia, civil society, the media, international community, the investment community, both domestic and external, many people on the tenterhooks, many people are on the brinks. And all they are looking forward to is that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama must leave a certain trail. And that trail must engender hope, confidence to the people that politicians should be trusted. And I tell you, Jerome, if His Excellency John Dramani Mahama misses the trap to ensure that the confidence Ghanaians need is restored, the 2028 election, you are going to be doomed. But I am very confident that the way he has started, the note he has begun, if he keeps on that trajectory and does not deviate and keeps a listening ear and respond to the concerns of the generality of Ghanaians, I am seeing a repetition of 1969-72 in Ghana. And guess what happened in 1972? When the Buzi administration was torpedoed by military governance, it took the MPP 30 years to taste political power in the year 2001. Similarly, if we in the NDC, through his leadership, can embark on legacy projects, look at national governance in a more positive way, and respond to the genuine concerns of Ghanaians, I want to predict on your show once again that I'm seeing the NDC as being in power for 16 solid years and beyond. Having said that, before I touch on the repeal of some of the levies and and the acts, let me quickly touch on the posture of the U.S. president or government relative to other international bodies with focus on tariff. And I have said that, look, tariff is something that is not palatable to any country. Tariff is not something that is palatable to any country. So, but when tariff becomes a more intimidating tool, when a president wants to resort to the use of tariff as an intimidating tool, you will never succeed. What I'm seeing across the length and breadth is that as we speak today, all products and services that are exported to the US from Ghana under the African Growth and Opportunity Act is going to receive a prohibitive kind of ban or tariff of 10%. Yeah. In my candid view, this is not right. Because you see, the US as a government is benefiting from a lot of African countries. As we speak today, the US government has so many military bases on the African continent. The US as a country, in terms of their parastatals, joint ventures, are having a lot of interest in oil and gas mining and diverse rare sectors of the economy. I want to use your platform to appeal to the geoglobal politics that if you resort to the use of tariff, and in this case, when the tariff becoming a more intimidating tool of other global body politics or countries, you may not achieving the desired result that you need. We are in a free market economy, and America as a country that believes in free market economy or conscious capitalism must not seem to put fear through the usage of tariff as a mechanism to say that, oh, we want to make America great. If you are not careful, you may end up by making America worse. So I want to appeal to the US government that they must have a second look in terms of their posture, their geopolitical stand on using taxation, in this case, tariff as a mechanism to restrict exportation from other countries into their country. Having said that, this is also a wake-up call for African government and country to come to the realization that there is nothing like a free lunch in the world. Sure. And once the geopolitics is the global politics is shifting from monopoly, duopoly to multipoly, African government, including the Ghanaian government, must begin to embark on the outgoing government loan Ghana beyond aid. I, in principle, was against it. But we are here facing with the fact that if we want to build the trajectory of the country called Ghana, resorting to grant aid donation and a bit of cheaper tariff, the posture of His Excellency Donald J. Trump Jr. is telling us that it's never going to happen. So the government of Ghana must begin to do such an introspective analysis and realize that the U.S. that we used to know, under whether Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Obama, and Biden, is not the U.S. today. And that we have to find a more creative, innovative way to build a country from the shackles of aid, donation, and cheaper tariff.
But before we now move to our taxes that has been repealed, there's a statement that came out just this evening about the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Deputy Minister for Agro-Business who engaged the U.S. ambassador to Ghana. Do you think, from where you sit, is it a good move? And what do you think can come out of it?
I think that in my candid view, let's commend the Foreign Affairs Minister, Honorable Kujato, for the proactive action he took. But it is something I don't see anything concrete coming out. At the end of the day, the U.S. ambassador to Ghana has limited power in terms of decisions that come from the federal level. So while it is good for diplomatic engagement, for the country to register our genuine concern, our legitimate concern on the 10% imposition of tariff on goods and services that are exported to U.S. through the African Growth Opportunity Act, we have to come to the realization that the meeting held between the government officials of Ghana and the diplomatic mission of the United States of America is purely for diplomatic mission. Because in diplomatic engagement, you can't be resorting to media, you can't be resorting to insulting words, you can't be resorting to attacking words. All you can do is to engage the official representative of the U.S. government in Ghana to kind of register your displeasure, to explain to them the concomitant effect of the 10% tariff slap on goods and services that have been exported to U.S. through the AGOA. Having said that, let us agree that His Excellency Donald J. Trump is that kind of leader that an ambassador cannot effect any fundamental changes to the decision he has made. The decision has come to stay. So if there is any way we can navigate, we can outmaneuver them by ensuring that we unlock, there's something we call unlocking state purchasing power. In economics, there is something we call unlocking state purchasing power. What does that mean? If the U.S. government is telling you today that every goods and services exported to my country through the AGOA, which is African Growth and Opportunity established in 2001, is going to attract a 10% tariff or some kind of a restrictive ban in a way, 10% tax on it, it is telling you that you must grow your local companies. And when your local companies grow and their sizes grow in terms of productivity, employment capacity, tax revenue, and any other thing they can generate, the end effect or the net effect is that their corporate taxes will go up, income taxes will go up, they will employ very more people, and most of the things the government want to outsource and procure can be procured locally. So in unlocking state purchasing power, the government of Ghana must find a way to ensure that the Local Content Act of the government of Ghana is deepened, so that more local businesses can grow through the government saying that, look, for every municipal district, every ministry, department, agency in Ghana, close to about 60% of your procurement must be outsourced locally. Again, for anybody that intends to embark on importation from other countries, it must go through a very meticulous presidential scrutiny before such authorization are given. When we're able to do that and we grow the local players, the industries, whether through backward or forward integration approach, then some of these tariffs, though, may have a negative effect on our revenue base, on our employment base, on our balance of payment position and trade position. I can tell you, within the short term, we can have the negative impact. But if we unlock state purchasing power and embark on deepening Local Content Act and ensuring that local businessmen and women are mentored, are coached, are groomed by giving them some kind of state reserve contract, I can assure you, in the next medium long term, the cascading effect is that the tax revenue we are going to lose, the foreign direct investment we may lose, the forest reserve we may lose through this 10% tariff, we may in the medium long term recoup them through building the local companies and businesses we have here in this country.
Perfect. Now let's have a brief understanding of the taxes that have been repealed and what are the implications for our economic growth.
Very well. It's imperative that we scan through the very taxes that have been repealed. Number one, we have the repeal of the Electronic Transfer Levy Act, popularly called the E-Levy. So the electronic transfer levy, which was kind of an imposition of a tax on all electronic transfer in the form of what you call the mobile money transaction, it has been repealed and cancelled. Number two, betting tax has been repealed, and indeed repeal is being cancelled. Emission levy repeal bill has also been repealed and here cancelled. EMR capping and realignment bill has been repealed, and it means that when we say emission levy, it simply meant that some vehicles that were imported to the country, as soon as those things are imported and certain production are done, you're going to pay certain levy on them. Betting tax, as we all know, was under the auspices of the National Lottery through the Gaming Commission. People were taking betting on sports and many other endeavor, and as soon as those bettings are won, people were paying 10% of that earning. Today it's been repealed and cancelled. Now we come to the earmark capping and realignment bill. When we say earmark capping, it simply means that certain statutory funds like debt fund, health insurance levy, and a lot of other petroleum funds, etc., they were capped simply mean that a certain fixed percentage were centralized to the government of Ghana. So, for example, we had the road fund, the GET fund, National Health Insurance Levy. That simply meant that every realization, every receipt that is made by the government of Ghana, it must go into promoting, if it's health insurance levy, health insurance, if it is road fund, road maintenance, if it is Ghana Education Trust Fund, education. However, we came to a realization that under the previous government, they found a way to cap it to say that every about close to between 10 to 30% of that amount were ceded to the central government. The negative impact was that when it came to road maintenance and road construction, it was deprived of the needed money to embark on road maintenance and road construction. Again, and the education, through the GET fund and GIF, a lot of investment that could have been made on the education and infrastructure and certain petty expenses, because of the earmark capping and realignment, we could not do it. Now, let me take you to a health insurance levy. As of today, a lot of service providers the state is indebted to them because of the earmark capping and realignment, they were not getting 100% of that levy to be able to settle those indebtedness. What the NDC government had done, which is a novelty, and it's a very commending one, is that it has said that, look, going forward, we are never going to do any capping again, no realignment. Any amount that is realized through Ghana Education Trust Fund, it must go to education. Any amount that is realized through road fund, it must go to road maintenance, road construction, whether feeder road, urban road, etc. Again, in terms of health insurance levy, any amount that is realized must go into health promotion, prevention, and whatever it is. The positive or the affirmative thing we must expect is that about 8 years ago, when those entities were deprived of the needed funds to meet their requirement and obligation onto people of Ghana, under this current regime or the next 4 years, we are not likely to see that. So we are likely to see a lot of road maintenance, road construction, feeder roads, urban road, etc. In terms of health insurance maintenance, we are likely to see most service providers having their bills being honored on time. In terms of Ghana Education Trust Fund, we are likely to see a lot of educational infrastructure being embarked on. And most importantly, one of the things I would love to talk about here is the matter relating to scholarship for people that school abroad. You realize that a lot of Ghanaians who had the opportunity to be awarded government scholarship will always embark on demonstration upon demonstration to drum home the point that the government must pay their financial obligation to them as per their scholarship terms and conditions. If the Ghana Education Trust Fund, this bill that's repealed, takes into full effect, I am not saying that we are not going to see an element of that, but it is going to be minimized. The next bill that is repealed based on the assent is what we call the Public Financial Management Amendment Bill. We have what is simply meant that there is something we call the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Right. So under the Public Financial Management Amendment Bill, it has also embarked on what we call the amendment to the Fiscal Responsibility Act. What does that act simply mean? That simply means that anybody who is put into position of trust, example, Kokobo CEO, ECG MD, Vaco Trust Fund MD, Tamar Refinery MD, GMPC MD, those state officials who are holding that strategic position should be physically responsible for their actions and commissions. Why am I saying so?
Okay.
Let me take you to COCOBOD. As we speak today, COCOBOD as a state agency is indebted over 32 billion Ghana cedi. That is what we have been told. It could be more. Let me take you to Electricity Company of Ghana. The ECG of Ghana is indebted to almost 100 billion and over plus. That is what we have been told. If we add that the missing containers and the wires put together, we may be talking about close to 150 billion Ghana cedi indebtedness. Let me take you to other agencies like Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana in their books today, balance sheet, is indebted over 100 billion. Now, what the Fiscal Responsibility Act will say to do is that if you are a state official and you willfully, intentionally embark on any action, any activity that will bring unwarranted indebtedness to the state, you shall be responsible. So in the Public Financial Management Amendment Bill, that is repealed, that will be the positive outcome. Number 6 is Public Procurement Amendment Bill. In this Public Procurement Amendment Bill, I want to see more changes. And in this case, we must have a certain level of counsel at the presidency that will have an eye into how certain contracts have been awarded. You agree with me? Sole sourcing has become the order of the day. So the Public Procurement Amendment Act must also ensure that local industry players or Ghanaians must begin to have certain level of advantage. The state must be willfully, must be intentional, must be willful, must be purposeful to grow its businessmen and women, like the way that Russia has done it. Number 7 is value-added tax. Here we are talking about VAT. So there's been certain amendment to the VAT that will take away certain components to make the cost of doing business cheaper. A good example is the insurance industry. If you go to the insurance industry, the VAT on the insurance build-up cost or add-ons has been repealed and eliminated. The next one is Petroleum Revenue Management Bill. The Petroleum Revenue Amendment Bill, one of the good things it has done is that, let me read it to you. All oil revenue goes for infrastructure. So under the Petroleum Public Management Repeal Act now, what it means is that under the big push, every peso of Ghana's oil revenue will now go into major roads, bridges, and infrastructure projects. So the good news is that because of the repeal of this particular act that used to exist, it is telling me and you that every Ghanaian that the big push that the NPP said, oh, the NDC is never going to have the needed source of revenue to push the big push agenda. Here we are, the Petroleum Revenue Amendment Bill or the Act will seek to say that every major oil revenue that comes will be channeled into the big push. And over here, the consequential positive outcome is that road, bridges, schools, hospital, etc. will have a certain breather. So let me do a recalibration of them. Number 1, repeal of the electronic transfer levy, which is the e-levy, is gone. And when the e-levy goes, it will make people's living standard of living be improved. Cost of living will be cheaper because when you are not paying levy on every single transaction, it makes your life better off. Some businesses that were making some transaction through using the Momo medium are also going to have cheaper cost of doing business. Betting tax is gone. And this is a breather for young people who may be jobless and may want to resort to betting as a mechanism to have a respite. Emission levy repeal bill will also have the people who are importing cars and are doing businesses, the GPRTUs, all the transport union in Ghana is a good news for them. The earmark capping and realignment bill will be also bring good news in areas of education, health, road, etc. All the statutory funds that were capped is going to be decapped. And the good news is that it will make funds really available for national development. The next one is the Public Financial Management Amendment. Over here, it is going to make state officials who are the head of state agencies, whether joint venture, parastatals, or 100% owned by the state, they'll become fiscally prudent and disciplined and responsible. Public Procurement Amendment Bill. This will deepen local content aspect of the government. Value-added tax will make the cost of doing business cheaper. And the Petroleum Revenue Amendment Bill will also ensure that at the end of the day, every oil revenue that is generated through the petroleum revenue element will go into the big push. And by big push, we are talking about infrastructure, bridges, hospital, electricity, and the Agenda 111 that they could not complete any of them before exiting office.
Wonderful. So you have actually walked us down this road. I think everybody seems to be getting a good understanding. Apart from the uncapping, and then the Responsibility Act, which puts everybody at any position to be very responsible for his or her own actions. The real question that we want to find out is the removal of e-levy, the betting tax, and the emission tax, and all that. Is it a situation whereby they were underperforming in revenue collection, or they were simply unpopular with the public?
Come back again with your question.
I am asking the taxes that have been removed, those that are removed. As for the uncapping, we know the good thing about it, because more funds will be given to the statutory bodies for their execution of projects. But the issue of e-levy, the issue of the betting tax and all that, were they simply unpopular with the populace, or they were underperforming? That is why we have removed them.
Okay, so let me first of all approach your question with ideological underpinning of the NDC. The NDC believe in social welfare capitalism, which simply means is that you must create the enabling environment for society to thrive. And by society, you are talking about the interplay of several stakeholders. One of the key stakeholders when it comes to social welfare capitalism is the business community. And for some time now, the business community on continuous basis kept on raising concern and alarm that the tax revenue out of these taxes that I mentioned is become too excruciating and collapsing businesses. Because if as a business entity, I want to do, and don't forget that most of the traders on the highways of Ghana, because of the element of highway robbery, resorted to the use of Momo to be keeping their money. A certain government come to be and say that, look, take, let's say, the highway on the Bunu East, Techiman, Kentampo, Yeji Prime, all the way to Tamale. A lot of the traders on that stretch of the highway, who were some time ago were being attacked by armed robbers by taking their fiscal cash, when the Momo was introduced, decided to go in for it, keep their money on their Momo wallet. And that if any armed robber approaches me, I don't have any fiscal cash.
Okay.
That became an avenue for them to protect their hard-earned seed money for their business. A government comes into me and says that, look, I want to tax this one. And don't forget that e-levy had multiple forms of taxation. At any bread you make transaction, you were paying. So some of us said that, look, a tax must not be so draconian to make life uncomfortable. A tax regime must make life comfortable for the business community. The business community must not be seen to be at war with government. Because, Jerome, let me make this clear. If we're a government and the business community does well, the government does well. If a government begins to elevate itself, becomes so ballistic and frontal, and wages a business war with the business community, it is the government that suffers.
That suffers.
That is why a lot of businesses started relocating to neighboring countries. Because the taxes became so killer and punitive on them, some of the multinationals who could not endure the excruciating multiple taxes saw the very need to fold up and relocate. You ask a question, there wasn't an element of collection or abuse. It was simply an element of the MPP government then being fiscally imprudent.
Okay.
Because come to think about it, it is true that any government that failed to collect more tax revenue cannot achieve its desired goals. Not even in US. There is no country that is not built on taxation. Because tax is the only legitimate means of revenue to cushion the national agenda. But if a government can defray a certain taxes and create a breathing space for the business community, it can take it consequentially with the right-hand side. Let me give you a practical example. If a government make a business environment so friendly and the business people can employ more people, the more people the business community employ, they will end up paying income taxes.
Income taxes.
If the government or the businesses do well and they declare profit, they also end up paying corporate taxes.
Yeah.
So it is always not the case that higher taxes lead to higher tax revenue for the government. A certain higher taxes, if not put in check, can be so capricious and arbitrary that businesses may fold up, individuals may relocate to other jurisdictions, and it is the government that will suffer.
That will suffer.
A smart, innovative government, what that government does is that you must create that breeder enabling environment to deprive yourself tax revenue for some time and let business boom and thrive. Once business begins to boom and thrive, the tax revenue you lost within your first, second year, it may triple or quadruple in the third, fourth year.
Sure.
A lot of instances are bound all over the world. And China, Vietnam, Taiwan, and a lot of the Asian tigers are living examples. So what the NDC government has done is simply to say that, yes, I am a government, I need tax revenue. I'm a government, I need the taxes. But I'm also a conscionable government pilled on social welfare capitalism. A government that believes in making sure that individual household firms might thrive in a positive way, said that their tax obligation to the government in the long run, medium, long term will be positive. Now, another school of thought will also argue that the repeal of these taxes will create a certain loophole against the government in such a way that the tax revenue expectation of the government may not be met. I totally disagree. If the government can be fiscally prudent, reduce corruption, cut down a certain expenditure, but should not attack some capital expenditure, this government may end up achieving the very same thing that they could have done with the enforcement of those tax regime. So yes, though it is early days yet, to conclude that the repeal or the elimination of these taxes will lead to an automatic economic growth. But with the posture and the personality of the finance minister, he is a tax practitioner, a fiscal economist, and chartered accountant. His background is informed by the financial regime he wants to create. And I'm highly confident that based on his background, he has done all his extrapolation and come to the conclusion that though the government can choose to lose these taxes, but at the end of the day, the government will still perform. I believe that if we can reduce corruption, become fiscally prudent, reduce certain expenditure of the government that are unwarranted, we are good to go.
Yeah, seriously, because I was going to ask you about how this repealing could hurt the government and how the government could be addressing these concerns. But you have already hit them hard, right down as to what is expected of the government to be able to overcome these challenges. And from where you sit, are we looking at spending cuts, better compliance, or something else entirely for this government?
I see so happening. Initially, I must admit, I was a little bit trepidatious, that I was a little bit alarmed. But once we are taking off all these tax, components, how are we going to execute all the audacious policies under the resetting Ghana? But however, when I look at the Petroleum Revenue Management Bill repeal of it, and it said that every pesewa that is generated is going to channel into big push, it gave me a breather. Jerome, I say so because in every government, CapEx or capital expenditure is one area of a tax regime that any government that negatively touches capital expenditure, you deprive contractors and big-time suppliers the needed source of revenue or cash flow. But when the government finally said that, the business community should not worry, when it comes to the big push that consumes a chunk of the national pairs, we are making an arrangement to ensure that the loophole that we are going to experience through the removal of the taxes, we are going to resort to petroleum revenue as a venture to cushion our infrastructure demands, our bridges, our school. That gave me a respite. Then again, don't forget that this government is also looking at running a lean government under the Fourth Republic. And that cut down in expenditure is also the way to go. And don't also forget, anything that the government intends to achieve can achieve. Nobody has ever arrested the government Nobody has ever arrested a government for owing. At any material moment, a government to be indebted.
Yeah.
I have never seen any government in the world that is never indebted. But what is relevant is that a government must ensure that once you are indebted, your indebtedness must be something that brings on something positive. So yes, there will be spending cuts. Recently, I heard the finance minister stating that a lot of travel that are not relevant are not going to be honored. So that tells you that there were times that you had over 300 people attending climate change conference under the government budget. Why are you going to arrest Jesus Christ or Muhammad? It didn't make sense. So if you are going to honor an international event and cut down the people you take there, you are saving money. Once you can reduce corruption, you are saving money. Once you can involve local content, you are saving money. Anything the government is purposefully intent to achieve, Jerome, is achievable.
I mean, there are several of my questions that you have already even executed them without me getting to that point. But before we take the comments from our followers, one question, especially that is of great interest, is that beyond repealing these taxes, what are some of the government strategies to fuel economic growth, especially in this 2025?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not a government spokesperson.
Yes, I get it.
So I may not be in a better position to spring out the discussion on what the key points are. But as a member of the NDC, I for one see that a 24-hour economy proposed policy, it is something that will create easy employment opportunity and other tax revenue to fill the gap. Just yesterday, I read that Tamale Refinery for the past 24 months had a first-hand revenue offset for the past 24 months. Ghana Tamale Refinery, or called TOR, is intending to run a 24-hour shift. What it does is that it will create more employment opportunity. MPA want to go the same way. So the very immediate economic policy that, from where I sit as an economist, that may bring a certain fundamental shift towards pushing the economic growth agenda of the government is the almighty 24-hour economic policy. If we're able to implement this policy on a pilot basis, and Jerome, let me repeat here, I don't believe it. I wouldn't stand on your platform and advocate for wholesale implementation of the policy. We may fail. Rather, the government must select about 4 to 5 metro or municipalities in the country and pilot it. So we can look at Accra Metropolis, Takrade Metropolis, Kumasi Metropolis, Tamale Metropolis, Cape Cod Metropolis, and let's say Techiman as a case study. Then we put in place robust mechanism to ensure that we are rolling out the 24-hour economic policy in these, let's say, 5 to 6 metropolis. Within the next 6 months or 180 days, we can go back and review the policy and say that having implemented the 24-hour economic policy on a pilot basis in these 5 or 6 metro, these are the net effects. So let me quickly, humbly suggest that I, as an economist, believe that if you want to grow an economy, it has to be organic. However, the government, as the biggest employer and the biggest buyer in every economy, can put in place state policy and regime changes to ensure that your economic growth become both organic and inorganic. In this case, let us push for the immediate implementation of 24-hour economy. And by so doing, let us select about 5 to 10 metropolitan and municipal districts in the country. And within the next 6 months, we can then come back to the drawing board, review the performance and the outcome of the policy in those metro and municipalities. When we do that, by the end of the first year of the government, we can then expand the 24-hour economic policy to about 50 metro, municipal, and district in the country. It will get to a point that by the end of the 4 years, we can have about 100 metropolitan municipal district assemblies in Ghana implementing the 24-hour economy fully. Because you see, the size of every economy is determined by your productivity and labor size. And when productivity is enhanced through the 24-hour economy, labor size will improve, government tax revenue will improve, and the cyclical effect is that people's standard of living and consumption and spending will equally go up.
Wonderful. I wanted us to look at some key sectors that will be driving the economic growth this year, especially agri, technology, and then the energy sectors. But let me take the messages from our followers, and when we come back, we will see how best we can handle that. If you have just joined us, you are watching Economic View on MyView show on Today Ghana News TV. And we want to take messages from our followers. And when we come back, our chartered economist is actually helping us to understand the repeal of these taxes by government, the bold step, its impact, and how it will help the growth of the economy of Ghana in 2025. Beginning with Nana Tefrem says, good evening, watching from Tatali, Northern Ghana, and greetings from Sakina Information Center listeners. We're grateful, Nana. Bob Kempim says, watching from Paris, France. Please, what is the status of taxes on sanitary pad? I didn't hear anything about it in the budget. Oh, I would ask. I think the pads are tax-free right now or so. Lady Mal too says, I'm watching on Switch from St. Petersburg, Russia. How will the country be able to recoup the loss for scraping those taxes? Well, he has explained all that already, I'm sure. Sakwa family says, bravo, BOT. At time, add some small switch for us. Watching from Jimapo near Koforidua. I'm not getting it, but we'll find out. Koisi Insian says, BOT is hitting the nail right on the head. This is how politicians have to be, to speak the truth to even your own political party. Watching from Anglotown in Koforidua. Yeah, that is true. We are still waiting to see when MPs of one particular party in parliament will speak against a motion from their own party. Mavis Watson says, what about Africa also closing its markets with the US on raw materials? Watching with a family from Lisbon, Portugal. Well, we'll see. The NDC Diaspora Union, good evening, comrades, watching from Amsterdam, Holland. Please, has the tariff on importation of vehicles, tractors, and spare parts reduced? I'm not very sure, but we'll find out. Even though BOT doesn't speak for government, he might be in position to help us. Asampahini says, I love how you are making it very simple for us to understand taxation. Watching and listening from Achim Himan. Yeah. Frema says, watching from Manchaniahu. So what is he say? So what he is saying is that now our roads will be seeing facelift. Definitely. Definitely, because if it's about a big push, there is a funding channel that has been opened, which will not impact any other sector. Jaframa TV, good evening and greetings from Rara in the Oti region. Today, Ghana News TV. Thank you for the collaboration. We are equally grateful to you. Koku, the explanation is going on well. This is the type of communication we need to hear from our government and party communicators watching from Suhum, the Eastern region. Frimpong Buffy says, wow, this is very good from BOT, watching from Akuse near Somonya. Tofik says, good evening, CS. Thanks for your good job, Tofik. Tofik, we're grateful that you have joined us this evening. Brimpong says, watching from Barcelona, Spain. Thank you for this wonderful show. We're grateful. Okay. This is MyView, and we are having our economic watch, which will be running every first week of the month. That we take a look at the economy of Ghana, its growth, and the implications of certain strategies that have been put in place. And it's going to be with no other person but Mr. Bernard Odrotechi, aka BOT. So we'll come back with Mr. Odro right now, and then we see with these reforms in place. What do we? The government has already given their projected GDP growth rate for the year 2025. With these reforms in place, will it impact on the growth of the GDP, or it is irrelevant?
You see, you can have growth and the growth will not translate into the lives of the people. Okay. Let me give you a practical example. When you have growth in every economy, there's something called disaggregation. A government can say that in 2024, I grew by, let's say, 4.6. And if that growth is being anchored by multinationals, if you are not careful, on paper you are growing, but in real terms you are not growing. More so, when your growth is being pioneered by the mining sector, communication sector, banking sector, as a country called Ghana, we need to take a second look. Why am I saying so? As we speak today, our financial and banking sector is controlled largely by foreign-based companies.
Yeah.
So the foreign-based companies could be making huge profit, but a lot of those profit become end up profit repatriation.
Yeah.
Let me take you to mining. If about 40 to 50% of your annual growth is being pillared or pioneered by mining, at the end of the day, it goes outside the country. However, if the state can take steps to localize our growth in such a way that we consciously build local businesses, we are willful and purposeful about it. We grow the financial sector. Licenses that were revoked in the past through capricious means are restored. Individuals are mentored and built up. That growth can be spiral, can go around. Okay. You've asked a very simple question. Would the repeal of these acts that borders on finances or revenue affect the economic projection of the government of Ghana? From where I sit, the answer is a big no.
Okay.
The government has started showing good faith. A lot of road contractors that folded up are now gone back to sites. I can talk about so many contractors now.
Yeah.
The government is finding ways to ensure continuity. A lot of road contractors under the past government, after 7 December, they brought their activities to a halt. Just about last week, a lot of them they've resumed operation. So economic activities is going to be buoyant. So let's take the road construction sector. When you take the road construction sector, it's a value chain.
Yeah.
The contractor will have subcontractors who sublet a bit of the contract, will employ masonry, menial workers, etc. When all those road construction were brought to a halt, a lot of people's source of livelihood were also curtailed. So I can tell you, the good faith the government has shown, especially to the business community, will let the growth of the economy bounce. So from where I sit and the economic eye that I have, if you can decap and stop realignment and say that, look, road fund must go to road fund, it simply means that your roads are going to see facelift. If you say the educational fund should not be capped, get fund will see facelift. If you say health insurance must not be capped, it means that service providers will have a breather. So yes, from the paper, somebody can make an argument and projection that this repeal and cancellation of the levies and the taxes will bring a loophole. But when we create an environment whereby businesses can boom, consequentially, the net effect will be positive.
Wonderful. Let's look at this. Every policy has a risk. Every policy has risk. And from where you sit, what are the potential pitfalls, and how does the government, or how do you think that the government might be able to manage them?
One, it is never the business of government to do business.
Good.
It is never the business of a government to do business. Anytime the government, its cronies, its apparatchiks, its family and friends begin to use the political power as a conduit to do business, it breeds corruption.
Okay.
And this is global. So, while I agree that meritorious friends and family of the government must be allowed to do legitimate business, people must not use the government as a conduit to become political entrepreneurs. So one of the things that the MDC government we must do, that we must try every effort to kill what you call political entrepreneurs and political connection men.
Okay.
Let us build genuine businessmen and women, because every genuine businessman and woman want to pay taxes. Every genuine businessman and woman want to try to avoid tax evasion or avoidance. So it is never the business of government to do business. Anytime government instrument is being used as a mechanism to be a transactionary purpose, corruption will raise its head. So the mechanism that we must first adopt, we need to have conscience in the government machinery. Let us build people who genuinely want to grow businesses. Don't let us build businesses that when the government ceases to exist, their businesses will fall down. We must seek to avoid that trajectory. And Jerome, once we do that, we will be on the path to avert any possibility of running into a pitfall. I will not stand on your show and say that the NDC government to be angelic. No, it's been run by human beings. There will be fallout. But when the government is conscious and mindful of what brought it to power, though the government may have a standard deviation or deviate of a sort, but the digression will not be too much.
Too much.
But when people become so purposeful and want to use the government as a payback to people, you fail. One of the very things that affected the outgone government is that some of them saw the government as a mechanism for vengeance.
For vengeance.
Government must not be used as a tool for vengeance. Government must be used as a tool to create an enabling environment for the citizenry to take advantage of economic policies, project and program that will come to positively elevate the image of the government.
Wow. Before we get to our last part, there is one concern. I'm drifting a little bit because I wanted us to look at a political angle on this. The national health insurance that we pay, there is a percentage of that amount that is given to members of parliament.
Right.
There is an amount that is given from a GET fund to members of parliament.
Right.
But my worry most is with the health insurance, because
Right.
I pay a premium so that my health will be catered for. Now, every now and then we hear that service providers are declining, they want to go private and all that. Why do we continue to give a percentage to our parliamentarians?
Jerome, it is said that when you have never been a monkey before, you never know the taste of a banana.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay? If you've never been a monkey before, you may not know the taste of a banana.
Okay.
So yeah, it is true. Most people have raised legitimate concern, legitimate view, and they think that the MPs are not meritorious of that. But I want to tell you, having been close to many MPs in the country, There are times the hospital bill they pay alone the health of people in their constituency is far 5 times the amount allocated to them. My only concern is not the allocation, but my concern is the abuse of that fund. If the MPs are genuinely going to use the fund earmarked for them for the health needs of their constituents, I'm all for it. But when the MPs begin to use this MPs health fund as a medium to be paying donation at funerals, I'm totally against it. If the MPs want to use this as a donation only for people within their inner circle, I'm totally against it. But when our members of parliament who go through all the toughest moment, the trying moment, in fact, some of the MPs, their houses are consulting rooms.
Yeah.
People go to their labor ward, they go to deliver their children, they sustain injury, there's accident, they resort to the MPs. So for me, our concern should not be on the allocation to the members of parliament. Our advocacy and concern should be that the members of parliament who have been earmarked, allocated that fund, should keep to their word and ensure that their constituents benefit from that fund relative to their health needs. Anything short of that, I'm totally against it.
Great. One more on the fight against corruption.
Right.
His Excellency the President has released the list for DCs, MCs, and all that. Now they have to go down there for confirmation.
Right.
There the fight starts. They need to go, most of the times, they have to go and pay the assembly members to be able to have their confirmation done. So right from the word go, the amount that the person spends to get confirmed, the person has to recoup it, not just necessarily from his or her salary. How can we overcome this? By our local government system.
It's very simple. Jerome, I've been an assemblyman before.
Okay.
I've been a presiding member before. And I want to humbly suggest on your platform, which is Ghana Today News, right?
Yeah.
Today Ghana News TV.
Today Ghana News.
And I would love this caption to be cut and if possible sent to the presidency and the local government minister and the finance minister. And that is very important. And I'm sharing my practical experience as a former assemblyman, as a former presiding member who got the opportunity to be part of the Regional Coordinating Council and confirmation of most MMDCs across Brunhafo region then. Jerome, that is the catch. According to the Local Government Acts, at 2016, whatever amended 9 states 2 or whatever, if you want to be confirmed, number one, as a PM, number two, as an MMDC, in the case of the PM, you need to test majority of all assembly members. Listen to it, of all assembly members. In the case of the confirmation of the MMDCs, you need to test majority of assembly members present and voting. So, when you take the presiding member, it is talking about all assembly members in that assembly.
Yeah.
So, if there are 54 assembly members in, let's say, Sunyani West Municipality, you must get to test, which is 38 of 54, to be confirmed as a PM. But when it gets to the confirmation of the MMDCE, the Local Government Acts and Article 240 of the 1992 Constitution says that a potential nominee of the president needs to test of members present and voting. How can we avoid it? Let us amend the Constitution and make it a simple majority. Let amend the 1992 Constitution, that provision, and make the confirmation of presiding members and MMDC simple majority. For example, when we are electing a Speaker of Parliament or we are electing members of Parliament, it is by simple majority.
Yeah.
So if an MP beats even somebody 3 votes, the person becomes MP. In similar vein, to ensure that the confirmation of most of the MNDC is improved in the near future, let's take the Chapter 20 of the 1992 Constitution, Article 240 downwards, and say that going forward, if a president nominates an MMDC or the assembly nominate a presiding member, when you get to the confirmation, you don't need to test majority. All you need is to get a simple majority and you are confirmed. If we make it a simple majority, this back and forth, pull and push, pay transportation for me, we are from this cabal, I should have been named the MMCE, I didn't get it, I'll sabotage you, will vanish. I repeat, let us repeal the constitutional provision that says that to get a confirmation as government nominee for MMDC position, you have to get to test majority. It is very a cliche and outmoded at best. If members of parliament need simple majority, why can't we have the same simple majority so that if, let's say, we are 34 people in the assembly and I get, let's say, 19 votes, I'm the MMDC. Why must we subject people to this mental torture such that after they have been nominated by the president, they still have to go through draconian processes to be nominated, to be confirmed? In any case, when you get to parliament, and I'm giving you a simple case study, if a president nominates somebody for ministerial appointment, the person goes through vetting, and the vetting committee or appointment committee will decide whether by consensus or majority decision. After that, when they come to parliament and the opposing side decide that no, we are not approving this member by consensus and they vote, it's by simple majority. So, if a whole minister can come through by simple majority, why must we stress MMDCs? So, in the review of the Constitution, I want this humble plea to get to the presidency, the local government minister, and the finance ministry. And when a certain MMDC is not confirmed, it brings development to a standstill.
Yeah.
So you be in a district, municipality, metropolis, because the MMDC is not confirmed, a lot of development cannot happen. But if you review the Constitution and make it by simple majority confirmation, let me tell you, 95% of MMDCs will be confirmed at the first instant of the voting. Because people will not use that as a means to pay them back. People will not use that as a means to hold the government to ransom.
Wonderful. That was just a drift away from our economy watch. But then we have looked at the repeal of these taxes, their implication, and then the growth of the economy of Ghana for 2025. From where you said, and finally to Ghanaians who are watching you and are unsure about the means for them and going forward with the budget of 2025, economic growth for 2025, and the repeal of these taxes and the changes, the amendment to those uncapping, especially the GET Fund, Ghana Health, National Health Insurance, and all that, and especially with the financial responsibility of people who are appointed to state organizations. What message would you give to them about the road ahead?
One, I did indicate last month on your show that the future of this government depends on its appointees. And I will still say I stand by the same posture. Look, the presidency is too difficult to get close to people. But state agencies are close to people every day. So if CEOs, deputies, board members, whatever appointees, make themselves very accessible to people, people will bring input, ideas, suggestions to you to better where you are occupied. Don't forget that positions are not properties. You are never going to go home tomorrow with cocoa board. So open yourself up for people to reach out to you. Make yourself accessible to people. And any government that makes itself inaccessible, that government collapses. And this cut across. Any government that makes itself inaccessible to people, that government will collapse. So my little humble suggestion, there should not be a disconnect between the government and the governed. There should be a fluid relationship. Look, when the 2025 budget was read, I suggested to a high-ranking government official that, look, the same way we campaign for power, let the government task every MP or former PCs in their constituency to take the budget to the people and then do constituency engagement. Let the people know and let the people understand. Because when it got to the campaign, we were able to mount campaign days, platform all over, crisscrossing in similar vein. The budget that was read was so appetizing to Ghanaians. But Jerome, if you are not careful, the very people that you are putting out this audacious budget, this sweet budget for, they may not get to know the content of the budget. So my suggestion was that there should be a caveat from the Chief of Staff Office taxing every MP and every former PC under the NDC government that take on a constituency public engagement of the 2025 budget and economic policy. If it is on regional basis, regional ministers must do wider engagement. And the same vein we campaign, let us be able to sustain the momentum. Let me tell you, governance is about understanding. If the government or the citizenry understand the roadmap of the government, they will sacrifice for the government. But when there's a blackout between the government and the governed, it leads to public frontal confrontation. And if you are not careful, the goodwill you may be enjoying will be washed away. Let us create a mechanism that the same way we campaign for power, the momentum and the energy we use to rally around Ghanaians, the level of enthusiasm, the ecstasy, the joy that we use in promising Ghanaians, let us have a reciprocal effect of that. And any major government decision, especially on the budget and economic policy, let us take it to the people. Don't forget that the difference between the NDC and the MPP, that the NDC is a grassroots mass action party. So when we stay within our domain and govern the grassroots to understand the good intentions of the government through the budget and economic policy, let me tell you, the MPP can go heaven and hell. They will fail.
Wonderful. Thank you very, I don't know what to say, but I want to say thank you very much for your insights, Mr. Bernard Odrotechi, aka BOT. You know, it's very clear that Ghana is taking a bold path with these reforms. That whether the benefits will be felt immediately or gradually, only time will tell. But the intention is very clear, to ease burdens and to grow the economy. So we will say thank you to all our viewers and encourage them to always stay with us on the very first Monday of every month for more analysis. And until then, I am Jerome Kwan, your host. Jehovah's blessings and good night to you all.
The country where I come from, the truth is an irony. Just like animal farm, justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders